Hi, folks. Welcome back. Dennis Fatosa, also known as F Noodles. And today we're going to be talking about Lindsay Clancy. Now, for anybody who may not be familiar, we've talked about her a couple of different times here on the channel. You're welcome to check back on those older videos we've done. But here's a quick background. Lindsay Clancy is a Massachusetts mother currently on trial for the January 2023 strangulation deaths of her three young children, Cora, Dawson, and Kaylin. Shortly afterward, Clancy confessed to killing her three children. She is currently facing life in prison without the possibility of parole. If she's found guilty, if she is not guilty by reason of insanity, she will be committed to a state psychiatric hospital subject to periodic reviews to evaluate whether she poses a risk to public safety. Now, this case went from a local tragedy into an explosive national and cultural obsession here in America, primarily because of this colliding storm of maternal mental health advocacy, armchair true crime sleuthing, and TikTok's retarded algorithm. The trial has taken over TikTok, specifically through hashtags like #SameLindsay or #Clancy, generating hundreds of thousands of videos and creating a conversation split into deeply polarized and highly controversial narratives. Some of these conversations do address serious issues with our medical system here in the United States, big pharma, and systemic failures within this healthcare system we have here. People are arguing that Clancy is a victim of a broken medical system, that she was let down by doctors who overprescribed psychiatric cocktails while ignoring her desperate cries for help during a mental breakdown. That said, there is ample evidence that none of that is actually true. And then, of course, there are the conspiracy theories. There are people claiming her husband actually did it and framed her. There are people on TikTok literally appealing to horoscopes to explain why she's innocent. The digital frenzy surrounding this case became so unmanageable that it eventually physically spilled into the legal proceedings, and in a rare move, the defense, Lindsay Clancy's defense, attempted to call licensed clinical social worker and TikTok influencer Emily Thorndike to the stand. Thorndike had gone viral for posting videos criticizing McLean Hospital, the facility where Clancy was treated weeks before the incident. And this is how that testimony went.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right. Judy Reddington.
Thank you, Judge. Tell us your name, spell your last name for the record, please.
Emily Thorndike, Thorndike.
And what town do you live in?
I actually live in Brooklyn, New York, but I summer on Cape Cod. I'm spoiled like that.
And shortly after that, the judge threw out her testimony. He officially barred Emily Thorndike from testifying in front of the jury on August 19th, 2026. The decision followed a highly unusual voir dire hearing where Thorndike took the stand exclusively in front of the judge so he could evaluate the merits of her proposed testimony. Ultimately, the judge ruled that Thorndike's testimony had limited value and relevance to the actual criminal case. Needless to say, the brief and chaotic insertion of Emily Thorndike into this triple homicide trial is a landmark moment in modern legal history. It illustrates several powerful shifts in how social media, true crime, and the social system can interact. Basically, the death of the firewall between the internet and the courtroom, the dangers of this viral main character syndrome that these TikTok retards get, and this weak attempt to algorithmically crowdsource your legal defense. Needless to say, a fail all around. These people are unbelievably low IQ, and we're going to take a look at some more in a moment, because Lindsay Clancy supporters are coming out of the woodwork. Yes, folks, they are, and they're not shy about supporting somebody who performed a triple homicide.
You know, one of my sister-in-laws, it could be one of my best friends, and it could be me. So I'm just here to support.
We are hearing her. We see that she tried everything. And I really do believe that she went into a state of psychosis.
It felt like the system failed her. She was begging for help, but no one was there. I don't know if us being here will make her feel any better, but I mean, she's living in hell right now.
It is just so bizarre. There's so many women out there are saying, hey, you know what? I'm on the verge of killing my babies. Get them away from me. Actually, don't get my babies away from me. I'll fight in family court and destroy my husband's wife so I can kill my babies. That's literally what these women sound like. How could you ever say, this could have been me? It could have been you? You thought about and methodically planned out the execution of your three babies? Really? You know that's what she's accused of, right? How about if you know of somebody who's thinking of this, how about you call the police? How about you file a police report? Because it's not normal. That should never be normal. Listen, if you are seriously considering killing your children, something serious is going on, okay? Additionally, there's this whole narrative that Lindsay Clancy had no help. These narratives frame her as entirely isolated, an abandoned mother left with no choice but to break under the pressure of her young children and just let her down. Oh, three young babies. 3 young babies, dude. The pressure of 3 young babies, God. But the courtroom evidence directly debunks this premise. The prosecution presented extensive multi-layered evidence showing that Clancy possessed an extraordinarily robust, active, and present support network encompassing all sorts of things that most people don't have access to. First off, the narrative that she was ignored by the medical system is contradicted by the sheer volume of intervention she received in the 2 months preceding the killings. Just 19 days before the killings, Clancy was admitted to McLean Hospital, one of the country's premier psychiatric facilities, where she received inpatient care before being discharged on January 5th. She had constant medical appointments and was actively seeing a psychiatrist, a therapist, and 2 nurse practitioners. In fact, she had a clinical medical appointment literally the day before she killed her children. She also had a dedicated day program. She actively enrolled in a specialized outpatient day program tailored specifically for postpartum depression. Additionally, her treating psychiatrist testified that Clancy was evaluated for psychosis but denied having homicidal thoughts, hearing voices, or experiencing hallucinations when asked directly. Her doctors could only treat symptoms she willingly disclosed. I think that goes without saying, right? Obviously, part of the defense's narrative is that she was withholding information from her doctors, but the reality of the situation is that if she wasn't communicating, there's no way they could read her mind. And if people in her family were aware that she was having these thoughts, if she was actually going out and communicating this to people, anybody except her husband, because apparently she only communicated this to her husband after the fact, then those people should have communicated this earlier to the people assisting her and to her husband. But that's not even the full extent of it, because the image of a mother entirely overwhelmed by 24/7 solo parenting was also legally countered by testimony regarding the help she had at home. She had an active nanny who testified that she was regularly employed to take care of the children through late 2022, directly lightening Clancy's daily physical parenting load. Clancy was also on an extended maternity leave from her job as a labor and delivery nurse, meaning she did not have to balance professional obligations with domestic ones. Within the home itself, Clancy's immediate circle was also deeply involved in her day-to-day life and actively stepping in to alleviate her anxiety. Her husband was fully engaged. I know all the narratives out there try to claim that Patrick Clancy was, the big master killer, the mastermind planning all this stuff, but he was actually an incredibly active partner who was working directly from home to help support Lindsay and care for the children. On the day of the event, he only left the house because Lindsay explicitly requested that he go out and pick up a specific takeout order and children's medication. Lindsay's mother and sister both testified that they were hyper aware she was struggling and were actively offering physical interventions. Her mother, Paula Musgrove, had routinely stepped in to help, and Lindsay's sister testified that Lindsay had confided in her as she was in a tough spot. She had friends intervening as well and trying to assist. So what exactly failed here? Seriously, how much more assistance could somebody have? This is almost a dozen people. This is like a little village that this woman had, and she still killed her children. At some point, you have to stop looking for excuses and actually try to hold these people accountable. That's the challenge for the modern feminist out there celebrating Lindsay Clancy. How about you just stop making excuses and hold people accountable? That'd be great.
And another thing about this Lindsay Clancy case that is bringing up the rage within me that is like generational at this point is the fucking men who think that they can come in here, take up fucking space, and speak on things they don't fucking know anything about. Y'all need to learn when to shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down. You have no idea what fucking postpartum depression is. Calling it baby blues, you motherfuckers. Just admit that not every fucking room wants to actually hear your fucking opinion. Let the women cook. And as a matter of fact, at this point, go call all the women in your family and tell them that you're fucking sorry. Because I know damn well that you are a terrible fucking partner. I'm definitely qualified to talk about men's issues. Like, is male pattern baldness actually that big of a deal? Like, maybe if you took better care of your hair. Like, you're letting yourself go. Low testosterone, oh my god. Like, you're just fat and lazy.
Get rid of that double chin, lady.
Why aren't you 6 foot tall? Maybe if you tried diet and exercise, if you tried harder, you could be taller. And don't give me that excuse of erectile dysfunction, you're just too fucking lazy to get it up. And before the pick-me's come for me, you also shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down, you fucking traitors. How dare you? When it comes to women's issues, pick-me's and men have the right to remain silent because we don't fucking care about your goddamn opinion. That's how we got here in the first fucking place. Shut up and let us fix the problem, like we always fucking do.
So let me see if I get this straight. The solution for feminists now is getting away with murder. Got it. Terrific. This is by far one of the most low IQ, emotionally erratic monologues I have ever witnessed. There's no actual or factual argument here. She's just angry. And honestly, I started looking at these people with more compassion because this is clearly a profoundly hurt person. She's sitting here attacking men for their physical appearance, calling us fat and insulting the way that men look, while she's got a quadruple chin, a scar right between her eyes, and looks like she hasn't taken a shower in about 3 weeks. She's calling out ugly people while apparently being completely incapable of just seeing how ugly she is. But hurt people, folks. And I think that's ultimately what we're watching. This is a hurt person defending another hurt person who couldn't deal with her own hurt. And now everybody involved is lashing out in varying degrees of aggression. Obviously, what Lindsay Clancy did is so far beyond the pale and indefensible that there's barely any comparison. But you can still see that same impulse here. Pain turning outward into anger and hostility. And that gets to the larger divide, because notice how this woman frames anybody who disagrees with her. She attacks men, but she also attacks women who supposedly side with men, except saying you shouldn't defend somebody who killed her children isn't necessarily siding with men. It's siding with common sense. It's basic morality. You don't defend a baby killer. That used to be an incredibly uncontroversial moral consensus, but now suddenly a woman who expresses that position can be dismissed as a pygmy because everything has been filtered through this identity grievance framework. Instead of evaluating the actual behavior, did this person do something morally reprehensible? The conversation becomes, what identity are you? What identity is the other person? Whose side are you supposed to be on? It's an appeal, directly or indirectly, to Marxist identity grievance. And it's crazy how normalized that rhetoric has become in everyday dialogue on TikTok. You see it constantly all over the app. People are just blurting this out without thinking or realizing what they're doing.
You are never going to make me hate Lindsay Clancy. You're just not. I know better than anyone that the government would rather prosecute mothers than ensure they're adequately supported.
Number one, you don't know anything. Number two, we're not trying to get you to hate her. Nobody is talking about hate here. You're the only person who brought up that emotion so far. We're talking about acknowledging the facts. Obviously, the act itself is hateful, but we're not trying to cast judgment on Lindsay's entire existence as a human being. The point is that we can recognize how awful and indefensible her actions were while still looking at her with compassion and hoping that she repents and comes to Christ. Ultimately, that's the Christian position, right? In fact, one of the first saints was the thief next to Christ on the cross, the man who defended Christ from the other man beside him. A person's actions shouldn't amount to their full condemnation as a human being. Obviously, she should serve the entirety of the rest of her life in prison with no parole. In fact, I believe she should get the death penalty, but that goes without saying. The maximum penalty she can receive in Massachusetts is life in prison without parole, which is what she's facing. But nobody is talking about hate. We're talking about justice for those 3 little children, the babies, acknowledging the fact of the case and recognizing the indefensible acts that Lindsay committed. And we can talk about 2 things at once, by the way. You don't have to elevate Lindsay to the status of martyr or some untouchable figure standing up for the civil rights of women in order to have a conversation about the flaws in America's medical and healthcare systems. Those 2 conversations can happen at the same time. We can acknowledge failures in the healthcare system without pretending that Lindsay Clancy bears no responsibility for what she did. And when you insist that she has to be elevated into this untouchable status in order to have that broader conversation, to me, it reveals what your actual intention is, to exonerate her from any culpability for the act she chose to perform. Because again, there is ample evidence that she thoroughly planned out the murders of her children.
He got rid of all of their stuff. She doesn't have anything. You guys, I can't. I can't. Like, she can't pet their lubbies. It's so upsetting. And I keep seeing her just sitting there and having to listen to all of this over and over again. She can't even pet their lubbies.
Bro, you're worried about her stuffies? When she got rid of the children, period, she sent them on a one-way ticket to heaven. And you're worried about the blankies and the stuffies. What the hell's wrong with women, dude? Seriously. I'm not asking this to be an asshole. I'm genuinely asking, what the hell is wrong with you, lady? And by the way, why are you out in public with a front-facing camera asking this? Have some fucking shame, dude. Go pick up a hobby. Start a knitting circle. Start a reading group. Start a Bible group. This woman sent her own children on a one-way trip to heaven. What the hell is a father supposed to do with the blankies? Just keep them? Keep them around so this brutal killer can sit there thinking about the children she killed? So what the hell is supposed to happen?
Stop thinking about these kids as people and think about them as ceramic vases for just...
Bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Why are we sitting here dehumanizing these children? Hey, stop thinking about the children as children. How about you think about them as that toy your grandparents gave you for your 7th birthday that you hated instead of the PlayStation you actually asked for? Like, what are we even doing here? Seriously. And by the way, this is what my timeline has become over the last few days, folks. It's mostly women having the most insane takes imaginable about this case, followed by some guy just going, what the hell's wrong with you? One after the other. And there are so many of these unhinged women that I'm starting to wonder. These people are walking amongst us, folks, like the aliens in MIB. They really are. These people, these insanely retarded women are walking amongst us. And you would never know until something like this happens and they start posting. That's why we need social media, a social media catalog of everybody's most retarded takes. That's the only way that we can know who is who and what's what. Anyway, Lindsay Clancy has raised over $1 million at this point, and the goal has now been raised to $2 million. Insane. Her attorney, Kevin Reddington, has become somewhat of a celebrity. People are lining up to take photos with him outside the courthouse like he's an attraction at Disneyland. And needless to say, this isn't the only case like this. There are so many other cases popping up. There's one that was just reported on today in North Dakota. There's also this case specifically. Former University of Kentucky cheerleader Laken Snelling pleaded guilty to killing her newborn son and stuffing him in a trash bag. It really makes you think, what the hell is going on with women, dude? What the hell is going on with women? You guys have got to get a grip, bro. Seriously. And to any women out there trying to justify all this with, we have to suffer in silence. There's literally a video of a woman having a meltdown at a wedding after this gets brought up, saying this. You want us to suffer in silence? Bitch, you guys never suffer in silence. That's a meme about men, about how men just bottle everything in. I have never in my entire life witnessed a woman suffering in silence. You let the entire floor of the building you live in know you're about to suffer before you even suffer. You're like, hey, I'm about to suffer, and the whole building knows. You cry about it for a whole week. So please, kindly, shut the fuck up about this. There are some things that are simply indefensible. And this isn't even a gender thing, because trust me, there's a case involving a man who killed his children, and he's up for the death penalty, if I remember this correctly. And I say execute him publicly. Same deal. This has nothing to do with gender. This is about justice. It's about getting justice for these little babies and not being a completely ideologically captured retard who can't bring themselves to say the right thing. So please, kindly, shut the fuck up or step the fuck out of the way. Anyway, folks, you tell me what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and share it with a friend if you think they'll enjoy it as well. I'll see you at the next one. Take care. Peace.